So now I have a basket on a bike. In the mornings, I'm riding, throwing papers in the neighborhood while people are arriving at the school. So like guys that I go to school with are riding past me with their parents while I'm throwing papers. So there was definitely that, like, okay, do you want the money, or is the embarrassment of riding with this basket on your bike going to be a problem?
Money trumps that immediately.
Yeah. Topic for today is kids and jobs.
Yeah.
Pros and cons.
Pros. Teaches them responsibility. It teaches them time management. It teaches them about money. It teaches them about taxes. It teaches them about sacrifice. I say that because there are times when, your job schedules you to work on a day when your friends want to go out or somebody's having a party and you can't go. In terms of time management, we had times when Mike was scheduled to work, but he also had a test and a paper and a quiz the next day, and so he had to manage his time in terms of what am I going to get done before I leave for work? I'm going to be gone for 5 hours, and then what am I going to work on when I get back? And getting back and doing work just never worked out for him. So we knew after several times of trying that you need to get your work done before you leave, because you come back at 9:30 at night, you're done. Mentally, you just don't have it to try to be pulling an all-nighter. That just wasn't for him. I think taxes was huge for both of them. They both felt like when they got their job and got their first check, it was great. But at the same time, they could see that like what I earned and what I got were two different things.
Right.
What is this thing called taxes, and I don't want any part of it.
Who's FICA? What was your first job?
Oh, okay. Somewhere in high school, I remember I was telemarketing for a little while, and then I went from
You're in high school calling grown people?
Yeah. I remember that. And it was short-lived, but then I worked at a place called Raging Waters. My senior year, I remember that.
Was that a water park?
Yeah, it was a water park. And then I also worked at a LA Fitness.
Okay.
So I had three different, not at the same time, but three different jobs in high school.
I think the only con I have regarding kids and jobs is that it takes away from the focus on school, which is the number one thing to me. School for the sake of school is not the thing. For us, it's school for the sake of preparing you for where you're going after school. And so when you get to the point where a kid can work legally, you're in the teens, you're in the late teen,
You're 16.
You're late in your high school career. You're like 15, 16 years old. And now you're approaching those critical years of high school.
True.
You're preparing for SATs, you're preparing for your finals. And depending on how good a student you are, you're handling that well or not. So that's the only con I have. Like if I had a student where I said, no, you really just need to focus. We need to get you tutors and all that kind of stuff. And let's put our focus not on this $12 you're going to make in an hour, but on the greater impact that this education is going to have on you, then I would opt away from a job.
Yeah.
But in every other case, the jobs, from our experience, from my perspective, has moved kids forward.
Yeah. I also think that it helps them to understand the value of a dollar, and they start to understand, these things that I want are attached to a price tag,
Yep.
I think there could be times when kids just, if you don't buy anything, if you're not in the habit of buying things, the price tag means nothing to you. You just want it. But when you are working at a young age and you're buying the things that you want, then you start to understand, I want that, and I want that, but this is how much money I have, so I can't get all these things. I need to decide. I need to prioritize in terms of what I want and why I want it. And I think that they did really well with that as they got older.
What's so funny to me is how resistant the kids were to the idea that, no, dude, one of the requirements of the house, just like your chores, has just become that you need a job.
Yeah.
And they were super resistant to that and like resentful. And then they went and got their jobs and got their checks, and all that resent went away.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I got money.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't remember Amir being resentful successful in his first job. His first job was Subway, remember?
Yeah.
And he didn't get the experience of I'm interviewing and I have to hear a few no's before I get that first yes. Like he interviewed, he got the job immediately. Yeah. So he had a little bit of an ego about that, but he immediately started working. He got his first check. I remember we have a picture of him in his uniform. He was really feeling himself. But yeah, he had that job for a while and he enjoyed it. Again, taxes was not his friend at all.
Right. Nor was authority. But the beautiful thing about that was now you get to experience authority outside of the house.
That was huge for us because there were things that he would do. Like he has personality traits that are at the house that we try to curb, right? This isn't going to work for you. You need to stop doing that. But he's only hearing us. And so after a while, he doesn't hear us anymore. And he always thought we were wrong. But then when you go to work and you're doing the same behaviors, then your boss is now curbing you on the same behaviors that you are, being curbed for at home. And so now you're hearing the same thing twice, but from two different people. So that was huge. I really appreciated that.
Yep. So overall, I think we're agreeing jobs are good.
Definitely.
As long as it's not an impediment to performing well in school.
Yeah. I don't think you should have a job if you are an athlete. I think that's way too much in high school. You need to pick one.
So what's funny about that is, it wasn't even a job. My first money that wasn't from the house was paper route. I played sports from the time I could play sports until. So that was 6th grade. I had a paper route. I played multiple sports and was, a great student. Right. The funny thing about it, there was an ego moment for that I had to get over in terms of the job. I loved making the money.
Yeah.
But in order to do it right, you had to deliver papers in the morning. And in order to deliver papers in the morning efficiently, I had to use a bike. So now I have a basket on a bike. In the mornings, I'm riding, throwing papers in the neighborhood while people are arriving at the school. So like guys that I go to school with are riding past me with their parents while I'm throwing papers, so I can go park my bike and then quick jump in the shower and get to school. But they're getting there, before I did because I live right across the street from the school.
Right.
So there was definitely that, like, okay, do you want the money or is the embarrassment of riding with this basket on your bike going to be a problem? And it was not a problem.
Yeah, money trumps that immediately.
Yeah.
I think another thing that money does when you're a kid, it gives you this freedom of, I asked my parents for it and they said no, they wouldn't buy it. Now I can buy it myself. I don't have to ask. You're not going to
give me that telescope that I always wanted?
That's okay. I can buy it myself. See, that's another thing that I appreciate that money does for them. It gives you that independence that, I don't have to ask you for it. I can get it myself.
That's right.
Yeah.
Make your kids get a job.
Yeah. Hold on a second. There's the thing, though. I said you shouldn't have a job if you're an athlete. And it dawned on me like you were an athlete all through high school. The difference is I didn't have a job while I was in season. So I just think that's what I'm saying. Like in season with a job, I think that's too much.
Just as an aside on that, from my experience managing people and teams over the years, I often have found that the busy people get things done. So the busier a person is sometimes, it's the better person to delegate a task to, because the person who's not used to being as busy or who's not busying themselves enough will also handle this in the drag your feet speed at which they're operating. Yes. Whereas the person who has to be efficient is efficient with the new task you gave them because they're still handling the other tasks. So for me, having a job or a paper route, being in sports and doing my schoolwork, it was a lot. It was more, but it all got handled because I had to become a person who would handle those things. So for better or for worse, that's just 2 cents.
Yeah, our 2 cents.